We recently featured a video highlighting some of the best entry-level ultramarathons here in the UK. Those types of races that are perfect for dipping your toe into the ultra world for the first time. However, you'll have seen from the thumbnail of this video, we are focusing on races at the complete other end of the spectrum, and they include one of the toughest mountain ultras in the world, also an iconic race, 268 miles in length along the Pennine Way in winter, and believe it or not, a 200-mile ultra marathon through a tunnel. And yep, you heard me right, 200 miles in a tunnel. The mind boggles. We've also got a very exciting CXP running underwear giveaway in this video, so we've got details of that coming up soon. But for now, let's dive in and tell you all about my top 5 toughest ultra marathons in the UK. Welcome back everyone, and thanks for tuning in to another video. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. Now, over the years I've run quite a few ultras, from 50k distance all the way up to challenging 100 milers in the mountains. But when I did the research for this video, the races that I discovered, quite frankly, terrified me. So I'm not sure I'm ready to take any of them on right now, but you never know, I might run some of them in the future. But the first race on our list had to be the one and only Montane Winter Spine race. So what is involved in this super challenging endurance event? It all kicks off in Edale in Derbyshire, and then runners have a 168-hour time limit to complete the 268-mile route along the iconic and demanding Pennine Way, all the way to the finish line at Kirkletholm in the Scottish borders. Along the way, you're going to ascend 10,000 metres of elevation along some of the most beautiful and demanding terrain in the UK, including the Peak District, the Yorkshire Dales, Hadrian's Wall and the Cheviots. It truly is an epic challenge, and this is going to push your mental and physical abilities to the max. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this all takes place in the middle of a British winter, so you can expect really bad weather, from deep snow, storm force winds and lots of driving rain. And having spoken to runners who've taken on this event and looked at lots of photos and video footage, you know, years gone by, weather conditions are unforgiving and hostile at best. Race organisers put on 5 main checkpoints along the way, and this is where you can get hot food and drinks, you can use the toilet, grab a shower, get some sleep if needed. There'll also be a professional medical team, you can access your drop bag, and there'll also be weather updates and race information. Obviously, this is not a race to be taken lightly, and it's aimed at a very experienced ultra runner, and there's actually a certain criteria you need to meet to enter the Winter Spine. On our recent trip up to the Lake District to visit Innovate HQ, we were lucky enough to run with Innovate athlete and this year's Winter Spine winner and course record holder Jack Scott. Really nice guy, super interesting, and some athlete, that is for sure. He actually won the race in 72 hours and 55 minutes, and he knocked off 10 hours, yep, 10 hours off that already incredible existing record. So because the Winter Spine is 268 miles with 10,000 or just over 10,000 metres of elevation along the Pennine Way at a harsh time of year, we're going to score the race a 9 out of 10 on the toughness scale. Moving on to race number 2, and this is something completely different when you compare it to the Spine, but I would say it's just as difficult and challenging, but in different ways. So it is Cockbane Events, the tunnel. Now you can probably tell from the name that there's going to be a tunnel involved in this ultra, but you might not realise that you have to run 200 miles, yes, 200 miles through this tunnel. Now, obviously the tunnel isn't 200 miles because that would be some tunnel. So you literally have to run 100 out and back. So 200 times through this tunnel. I don't think I've ever said the word tunnel so much in one paragraph, but this all takes place at Combe Down Tunnel in Bath, Somerset, and it is the brainchild of Mark Cockbane. Now, if you haven't come across Mark before, he's definitely worth a Google because he is a pretty interesting chap, that's for sure. So this is obviously going to be quite a dark race, and you're not going to have some lovely views and vistas to inspire you and motivate you. So not only is it a massive physical challenge running 200 miles, but I also think a huge test of mental fortitude. And Can you believe it? They have people signing up for this race every year. The Tunnel Ultra has already taken place this year, and there was actually 7 finishers within the 55-hour cutoff, and the winner was David Bone, crossing the finish line in a very impressive 45 hours and 25 minutes. So that's 45 plus hours of running in a tunnel. Amazing. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is a race that I will never run, but it really did have to feature on our toughest ultras in the UK list. So when it comes to the tunnel, I'm going to score it a 9 out of 10. Not only do you have that physical challenge of running the distance, but also that huge mental challenge along the way of keeping yourself motivated while doing that distance inside a tunnel. I'll make sure that I leave links to all the races that feature in the video in the description below, just in case you want to check them out in a bit more detail, or you are looking for your next tough, long, gnarly race. But the next one on the list is actually the shortest race, but it's still over 100 miles in distance. It is a race very close to my heart and actually very close to my home as well, and it is the brilliant Arc of Attrition. Now, I'm sure a lot of you will have come across the Arc before, especially if you've been following the channel for a while, but if you haven't, it is a coastal ultra marathon that starts in the picturesque village of Coverack, and then runners are going to follow the coast path through some of the most iconic Cornish locations. So we've got Lizard Point, Mousehole, Land's End, the Minack Theatre, and onto St Ives, and then wrapping everything up in Porthtowan at the finish line. Along the way, you're going to have to navigate some of the most technical sections of coast path that Cornwall has to offer, and runners need to get themselves mentally prepared because this race takes place at the end of January, so in the middle of a tough British winter. So you're going to be probably spending 14 to 15 hours of running in darkness with a head torch strapped to your head. Now, the Arc might only be half the distance of a lot of the races on this list, but I still think it deserves its spot. So if you're looking for your next challenging, tough, amazing 100 miler, then look no further. And I'm going to score the Arc of Attrition an 8 out of 10 on the toughness scale. If this brief description of the race has whet your appetite, there is lots of content on the channel featuring it. So I'll leave links to all those videos in the description below in case you want to check them out. Now, before we dive into the next race on the list, let's give you the details of our CXP giveaway. So for around about the last 2 years, I've been wearing CXP's endurance running underwear for pretty much all my running, especially long training runs and races. I love the fit, I love the fabrics, the attention to detail, and I personally think you can really tell that ultra running royalty Zach Miller had a lot of input when it comes to the development and the design. And I'm happy to say that the kind folk from CXP have given us 5 pairs of their endurance running underwear to give away to our wonderful viewers. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is get in the comments below and tell us all about your toughest race experience. Now, it doesn't have to be a crazy long ultra, it could be any distance, but we want to know about those races where you had to dig super deep and lay it all on the line to make it back to the finish. Once you've done that, pop along to Instagram, follow CXP and Run4Adventure, and then under this picture in our Instagram feed, tag in one of your running buddies. The giveaway is going to run until the 1st of August, and then we're going to pick out 5 lucky winners at random. So don't miss out, guys, get in the mix because you could be walking away with your very own pair of CXP endurance running underwear. Unfortunately, we've always got to mention this whenever we do a giveaway on YouTube. Be aware of scammers, guys. It does happen sometimes when we do giveaways. Like I just mentioned, we will be picking out 5 winners at random on the 2nd of August, and we will contact you after that date directly, guys. So don't get back to any spam messages or spam emails or anything like that. I've got to say a big shout out to CXP for supporting the channel with this giveaway. It really is appreciated, and best of luck to everyone out there. But for now, let's get back to the video. Right, 2 more ultras to go, and the next race on the list comes from the guys at Centurion, and it's actually a new race, and it is their Winter Downs 200. So as the name suggests, it is a 200-mile ultramarathon that takes place over the 11th to the 15th of December. So another one on the list in those wetter, colder, muddier winter months. The route actually forms a giant loop round the south of England and takes in the North Downs Way, the Vanguard Way. We've also got the South Downs, the Wayfarers Walk, and St Swithin's Way. The race actually took place for the first time last year, and like I've already mentioned, It's 200 miles in length with 22,500 feet of elevation. It's not your normally incredibly well marked Centurion route, but a lot of it is on national trails, so you have the national trail markers to follow. Apart from that, it is self-navigation. You have 3 major checkpoints along the way, so not many, but these are places where you can get hot food and hot drinks, you can access your drop bag, you can get some sleep if you need it. However, you are only permitted to stay for a maximum of 3 hours at checkpoint 1 and then 6 hours at checkpoint 2 and checkpoint 3. And participants must ensure that they leave that checkpoint before that final cutoff passes. You have to pass a qualification standard for the race because at the end of the day, 200 miles, self-navigation in the depths of winter where you're going to have to deal with 14 to 15 hours of darkness every 24 hours is a huge challenge. And James and his team want to make sure that the 100 runners that are selected to be on that start line have the required skills and experience for such a big challenge. And the race comes with a 96-hour cutoff, which actually seems pretty generous, but there is additional cutoffs along the way at every checkpoint. So definitely not a race to be taken lightly, but I personally think if you've run or completed several 100-milers, you're looking for your next big adventure and you really want to push yourself over the longer distance, then with that 96-hour time limit to finish the race, I really think this is achievable as long as you keep moving forward. Obviously, that's really easy for me to say sitting in this comfy chair in this nice, warm, dry studio. But with it being 200 miles at winter time, I'm going to score the Winter Downs 200 9 out of 10 on the toughness scale. So last race on the list, but definitely not the least. And without doubt, this has to be one of the toughest ultras in the UK, if not the world. So starting off at Conway Castle, runners have to navigate 380 kilometres with 16,400 metres of elevation over 6 days. They follow a route all over the spine of the Welsh mountains to the finish line at the beautiful Cardiff Castle. And yep, you've probably guessed it already, the ultra I am talking about is the Dragon's Back race. The event route was inspired by the 1992 race where the inaugural Dragons had to tackle the uniquely wild, trackless, very remote Welsh mountain environment. And on day one, runners will cover 49 kilometres with 3,800 metres of elevation. Day two, 59 kilometres with 3,000 metres. Day three has a little bit less climb but more distance, so 65 kilometres with 2,800 metres of climb. Another long day on day four at 69k with 2,300 metres. And then on day five comes the longest day, so 71 kilometres with 3,200 metres. And then finally, day six, a pretty flat day, so we have 65 kilometres with just a mere 1,300 metres of elevation. Now, don't let those stats fool you because a lot of this route is along the mountainous spine of Wales where terrain can be super technical. Now, I've spoken to several runners that have taken on this beast and they assure me that it can be really tricky and pretty slow going, which makes it quite hard to hit those cutoffs every day. If I'm honest, this is the type of race that mildly terrifies me because anyone that knows me knows that my navigation skills are zero. You know, I can literally get lost in my own house, and when it comes to racing, I need big high-vis arrows and marshals pointing me in the right direction so I don't get lost. However, this race really does interest me, and you know, I've seen lots of footage, lots of pictures, and I've heard all the stories, and it really does make the event sound like an incredible adventure. So you never know, when I've sort of plucked up enough courage and maybe brushed up on my navigation skills, I'll get signed up and I'll take on the Dragon's Back one day. But as far as scoring goes, when you take into consideration the route, the challenging terrain, the elevation you've got to cover, and the fact that you've got cut-offs on each day when it comes to the finishing time, and then the slight thing of 380 kilometres you've got to cover on your own 2 feet, I'm going to score the incredible Dragon's Back 9.5 out of 10 on the toughness scale. So there you have it, folks, what I consider to be some of the toughest ultra marathons here in the UK. But what do you think about my choices? Do you think I picked some good races, or do you consider there to be some much tougher ultras out there in the UK? If you do, let us know all about those races in the comments below. Also, don't forget to get entered into our brilliant CXP giveaway. then you might have the chance of getting your hands on a pair of the best running underwear in the game. Hopefully, hearing about these amazing races has maybe inspired you to give one of them a go one day. And if you have enjoyed the video and found it interesting, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe if you haven't already, because it really is a big help to the channel. But until next time guys, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, it really is appreciated. We'll be back here soon with some more exciting running content, and as always, stay safe and keep on running. So what is involved when it comes to taking on this super challenging endurance event? Well, it all kicks off there. It truly is an epic challenge that's going to push your physical and mental abilities to the max. Storm force winds and lots of driving rain. Having spoken to people who've run the race before and seen lots of race organisers put on 5 main checkpoints along the way, so this is where you can get hot,